Hey, what's going on, Commander Squad? Dragon Master Rigo here with another deck tech for you guys, and today we're going to be going over one of my personal favorite archetype of cards, and that is the Shrines. And today we're going to be going over to what is going to be the greatest Shrine deck that you will see ever on YouTube, and our commander is going to be Go-Shintai of Life's Origin. We're going to cover the artifacts, lands, sorceries, creatures, enchantments, everything you need to know to fully be a threat at the table with this deck. It's not a CDH deck, but it's definitely not a bracket 3 or lower deck. It's definitely within the bracket 4 to bracket 3 category, and it does utilize proxies. So if you're somebody who hates proxies or is against it, I do believe that proxies should only be used in a casual format and not in a competitive format, and that you don't dislike my video too much because of it. If you guys want to check out my other tech deck videos, I'll leave it down as a playlist in the description below. After we cover every part of the deck, I'll go over some combos and we'll do a 10-turn playthrough so you can see what this deck can do by turn 10, because it gets pretty crazy. The first part of our deck is obviously the commander. Our commander is Go-Shintai, Life's Origin. I can pay Wooburg to tap it to return a shrine from the graveyard onto the battlefield, and then whenever this or another shrine enters the battlefield, I get to put a 1/1 shrine creature token. I get to put a 1/1 shrine enchantment creature token. So basically, it creates shrines, it powers up my shrines, and it brings back shrines from the graveyard. I know that Heibai, which is a brand new shrine commander that came out in the Avatar The Last Airbender set, and people have been speculating whether they want to use that card or this card. I mostly like using this one for spamming tokens. This deck works well with either one as a commander, but I just prefer this one better. All right, let's go ahead and move up to our lands. Side note, I did take out 3 lands in order to put 3 more cards into this deck. They are Akroma's Will, Odu, and a Legion Loyalty. So those are the 3 extra cards that aren't in this deck list that you're going to see today, but are part of the deck. Okay, so for our lands, we're running basic lands and also some triomes and the dual lands of magic, as well as 2 very special lands that give us a ton of mana. So first we have a swamp, forest, a tundra, island, Raguan Triome, forest, Savai Triome, forest, Savannah, Area Triome, tropical island, scrubland, mountain, India Triome, island, plains, mountain, underground sea, Sirius Sanctum, which gives us 1 white mana for every enchantment we control, and that does include our enchantment creatures, so that does include our shrines as well, which is really cool. Volcanic Island, forest, Zagoth Triome, Badlands, Bayou, plants, taiga, forest, Gaia's Cradle, which gives me 1 green mana for every creature I control, and you will see in a moment that this thing loves to spam creatures, so you will see a ton of them. Swamp, and a plateau. So in total, we're running a total of 31 lands in this deck, which is really good. About 60% of them are basic lands, and the rest of them are non-basics. We love having basic lands because there are quite a few spells and abilities that prohibit from non-basic lands being used, and we don't want to fully rely on those, so that's why we stick to our good old basics as well. All right, so next up we have our sorceries. There's only 4 in here, which is a Cultivate, Kadama's Reach, and Farseek. That's all of our ramp. And then here we have our Stormherd, where I create X 1/1 white Pegasus creature tokens with flying, where X is your life total. It costs 10 mana, very pricey card, but this deck does produce quite a bit of mana, and this is really here so that we can have a huge army to swing people with. I do like it a lot, and it's just a really fun card to play when people are like, what is he paying 10 mana for? Let's get on to our instance. We have a Enlightened Tutor, get to look for an artifact or enchantment, put it on my deck, so whenever I'm in need of something desperately in the game, I can always put it on top of my deck and draw for turn. We got a Rolling Regrowth, so it's an instant. I get to sacrifice a land and put up to 2 basic land cards onto the battlefield. And of course, a Horror, once again, sacrificing land, putting 2 basic lands onto the battlefield, which is really good. We want to continue to have a bunch of lands on the field to give us the most resources that we can get. All right, next up, we have our artifacts. We have Panharmonicon, double triggering our ETB effects. There's a ton of ETBs in this deck, and we want to keep triggering them. Coat of Arms, so basically it gives all of our creatures that share the same type a +1/+1 for each other creature on the field that shares the same type with it. We're spawning in a bunch of shrines. We're spawning in a bunch of different types of tokens, so this is just going to power them up even more and make them more dangerous. Mythos, at the beginning of each upkeep, each player draws 2 additional cards, so just giving us more card draw and giving more people a chance to catch up with our deck. Next up, we have the Party Tree, which is also the Great Henge, drawing us a card every time a creature enters the battlefield, and also gaining us 2 life and drawing 2 mana. All right, here we go into our enchantments portion. portion of the video. I decided to break it up into 2 parts. The first part is us covering the specific shrine enchantments, and the other one is covering the enchantments that are not shrines. So let's cover the ones that are not shrines first. So first up, we have a Smothering Tithe, basically generating us a treasure token whenever our opponent draws a card. If they don't pay 2, we generate a treasure token. We want to be able to get a bunch of mana out on the field for our big spells and just being constantly spamming our shrines. So this is really, really good for the deck. Parallel Lives, as we said already in Go-Shintai's ability, he creates a 1/1 shrine token whenever another shrine enters. And Parallel Lives doubles the amount of tokens that are made. So I'm basically creating more shrines and doubling the effects of all my shrine abilities. Next up, Rites of Flourishing. At the beginning of each player's draw step, they draw an additional card. So now more additional card draw for us and also for our players. And also each player may play an additional land. So we want to have more lands on the field and more abilities on the field as well. Next up, we have Lurking Predators. Whenever an opponent casts a spell, look at the top card of your library. If it's a creature, put it onto the battlefield. So automatically potentially putting our shrines onto the battlefield for free. Fire Emancipation, tripling the amount of damage that we do with our shrines. I know that they're 1/1s, but once we have Coat of Arms on the field and Fire Emancipation, that's a big load of damage, and no one is going to be able to stop that. We have Virtue of Strength, is able to basically make all of our basic lands tap for triple mana. So once again, dealing with our mana. Fire Mana Flare, being able to give everybody at the table some double mana, but also specifically for us, we will utilize it the most. We got Fever, creatures I control have haste, so I can immediately swing all of my 1/1 creatures at people. Aggravated Assault, I can have additional and multiple combat steps so that I can continue to hit people down with my quote-unquote weak 1/1s. Sterling Grove, just to give everything at the table more protection. All of my enchantments have Shroud now, which is really, really good. And also, if I sacrifice this, I get to look for enchantment and put it on top. So not only does this give protection, but in an emergency, I get to tutor for an enchantment as well. At Sphere of Safety, creatures can attack me or planeswalkers I control unless their controller pays X, where X is the number of enchantments I control. And since shrines count as enchantments as well, that's just a bunch of protection for me. Doubling Season, doubling the counters and doubling the amount of tokens I create is also really, really good. Cannot be a Dragon Master Regal deck without an Omniscience on there. So obviously we have Omniscience to cast our spells for free. And here we have our Well of Ideas. I'm also adding a Sunbird's Invocation so we can constantly get our spells onto the battlefield as well. All right, let's get on to the specifics here. Let's get on to the actual shrines of the deck. So far first we have the Crescent Island Temple. When this enters, for each shrine I control, create a 1/1 red monk creature token with Prowess. Prowess means whenever I cast a non-creature spell, it gets +1/+1 until end of turn. And whenever another shrine enters the battlefield, create a 1/1 red monk creature with Prowess. So already spamming an entire army, the more I cast my enchantments, the more I cast my shrines, so it's really, really good. Sanctum of Stone Fangs. At the beginning of my pre-combat main phase, each opponent loses X life, where X is the life you gain. Each opponent loses X life, and I gain X life, where X is the number of shrines I control. So already at the beginning of my upkeep, I'm already doing a bunch of stuff, and it's just going to keep spamming from there. Next up, we have Sanctum of Calm Waters. At the beginning of my main phase, I get to draw X cards, where X is the number of shrines I control. If I do, discard a card. So drawing a ton of cards. I do have to be careful with this card because I could deck out pretty quickly if this is on the field. You should really only play this card if you have a plan to win, right? Because if you have this out for too long, it will die. It will cause you to deck out. Next up, we have Holden of Seeing Winds. At the beginning of your upkeep, draw a card for each shrine you control. Once again, card draw, card draw, card draw. We want to have all of our cards in our hand to be able to do the most amount of damage. Next up, we have Sanctum of Fruitful Harvest. This is going to give us X mana, where X is of any color, where X is the number of shrines I control. So just doubling our mana. So just giving us an insane amount of mana right there and just giving us more potential to spam more cards on the field. Next up, we have Holden of Infinite Rage. At the beginning of your upkeep, this deals damage to target creature or player equal to the number of shrines I control. So if I have like 40 shrines at the beginning of my turn, that's just one-shotting somebody immediately. Holden of Cleansing Fire. At the beginning of your upkeep, you gain 2 life for each shrine you control. So we're getting a bunch of life, and we have Stormherd as well. So we have Stormherd and Holden of Cleansing Fire. I get to create a bunch of Pegasus 1/1 creatures. Next up, we have Sanctum of All. It's a Wooburg and it's a legendary shrine. At the beginning of my upkeep, I may search for my library and or graveyard for a shrine card and put it onto the battlefield. If I do, search this way, shuffle my library. Also, if an ability of another shrine you control triggers while you control 6 or more shrines, the ability triggers an additional time. So keep in mind now that from all these shrines that I've shown you and the shrine creatures that I'm going to show you, their abilities can potentially be triggered an additional time with this shrine, which is my most favorite shrine, and it's the one I'm going to be looking for the most. Next up, we have Sanctum of Shattered Heights. I have to pay 1, discard a land card or a shrine card. Sanctum Heights deals X damage to target creature or planeswalker, where X is the number of shrines I control. So some mass removal at the table. Kyoshi Island Plaza. This is a brand new enchantment. This is a brand new shrine that came out recently. When it enters, search your library for up to X basic land cards, where X is the number of shrines you control. Put those cards into the battlefield tapped and shuffle. Whenever another shrine you control enters, search your library for a basic land card, put it onto the battlefield tapped. So really awesome shrine right here. A super good shrine. Just giving us tons and tons of value, drawing us cards. We already have a card draw, and this is just giving us a land every single time a shrine enters the battlefield. It's super good. Next up, we have Holden of Night's Reach. It's a legendary enchantment shrine. At the beginning of your upkeep, target opponent discards a card for each shrine you control. So this is really good for my people. This is really good for that blue player that you notice at the table that's just drawing a ton of cards. They have 50 cards in their hand. They have no max hand size. Yeah, we're going to make them discard. Next up, we have Sanctum of Tranquil Light. It's a 1. What's special about this one is that it costs 1 mana, and if I pay 6 mana in total, I get to tap target creature. This ability costs 1 less to cast for each shrine I control. So really, I can tap everybody's creatures on board and then swing at everybody. We got the Spirit Oasis. It's another shrine from the Avatar set. When this enters, draw a card for each shrine you control. Whenever another shrine enters, draw a card. Next up, we got Southern Air Temple. When Southern Air Temple enters, put X +1/+1 counters on each creature you control, where X is the number of shrines you control. And whenever another shrine enters, put a +1/+1 counter on each creature you control. So you already know that Panharmonicon is on the field, and since Panharmonicon is going to double this ability, it's going to create 2X +1/+1 counters on all of our creatures, plus putting a +2/+2 on all of our creatures when they enter. Not to mention, we have the Sanctum that doubles our triggered abilities of our shrines, which means we're going to get 4x of these counters and just way more stuff happening at the table. Next up, we got Holden of Life's Web. At the beginning of each upkeep, put a 1/1 colorless spirit creature token onto the battlefield for each shrine you control. We're trying to create a whole army here, and it doesn't just have to be shrines. It could be a monk, it could be a spirit, it could be a shrine. Next up, we have the Northern Air Temple. Whenever the Northern Air Temple enters, each opponent loses X life, and you gain X life, where X is the number of shrines you control. Whenever another shrine enters, each opponent loses 1 life, and I gain 1 life. So here we've split it up our enchantments into our creatures into 2 parts, one of them being specifically shrine creatures and the other one being non-shrine creatures. So let's go on to our shrine creatures first. Okay, so we have 5 shrines right here. Here we have Go-Shintai of Lost Wisdom. It has flying. Whenever at the beginning of my end step, I may pay 1. If I do, target player mills X cards, where X is the number of shrines I control. So being able to be a little bit mean at the table and make somebody mill pretty much their whole library, if we have like 100 shrines, and make them lose from deck out, is pretty good. We have Go-Shintai of Ancient Wars. At the beginning of my end step, I may pay 1. If I do, this is going to deal X damage to target player, where X is the number of shrines I control, so just more damage to people based on our shrines. Here we have Go-Shintai of Shared Purpose. At the beginning of my end step, you may pay 1. If you do, create a 1/1 color spirit creature token for every shrine you control. So once again, spamming an entire army of creatures. Go-Shintai of Hidden Cruelty. At the beginning of my end step, if I pay 1, destroy target creature with toughness X or less, where X is the number of shrines you control. So this bypasses the undestructibility because we're making them lose their toughness and eventually they'll die. Go-Shintai of Boundless Vigor. At the beginning of your end step, you may pay 1. When you do, put a +1/+1 counter on target shrine you control for each shrine you control. This specifically will help us power up our commander, since Go-Shintai is a pretty weak creature as is. All right, so here is our creature list. First up, we have Heibai, Forest Guardian. When it enters, reveal cards from the top of your library until you reveal a shrine card. You may put it onto the battlefield and shuffle. So it already has the ability to give us a shrine card when it enters, and then I get to pay Wooburg and tap it. For each legendary enchantment you control, create a 1/1 colorless spirit creature token with this token can be blocked or be blocked by non-spirit creatures. And also has the ability to give us a shrine, which is really awesome. And this is the secondary commander to the deck. Next up, we have Nyxbloom Ancient, being able to tap our permanents for triple mana. So that's really good, considering we can also make our creatures tap for mana as well. This is going to utilize a bunch of mana for us. Next up, we have Roaming Throne, doubling. Once it enters, I get to say shrines, and I'll be able to pretty much spam the abilities of my enchantments. Next up, we have Enduring Vitality. Creatures I control have add 1 mana of any color, and if it dies, return it to the battlefield as an enchantment. With Behemoth, since I said we have a huge army, you can't have a huge army without Creative Behemoth being the leader and giving everything +X+X. Next up, we have Agorithorian Enchantress. It has Shroud. Whenever I cast an enchantment spell, draw a card, so just giving us more card draw. Waver of Harmony. Other enchantment creatures I control get +1/+1, and when I pay a green and tap it, I get to copy a triggered ability of an enchantment I control, which is going to be really, really good to trigger to trigger the triggered abilities of my other shrines. So this just gives us an additional trigger. Bloom Tender, add 1 mana among permanents I control, add 1 mana of that color, so just giving us more mana. Undo Spirit Dancer, whenever an enchantment enters the battlefield under my control, you may create a token that's a copy of it. Do this only once each turn. So you guys saw all the enchantments I had and how some of them are pretty broken. Plus, not to mention that this is an enter the battlefield ability, which means it can be triggered double by Panharmonicon. And that also includes our creatures, since enchantment creatures are considered enchantments. Next up, we have Bellow, Bard of Brambles. This is a new addition to the deck. He was originally never in this deck, but ever since he came out, I was thinking to put him in, as I have a bunch of enchantments, so why not make them creatures as well and help them help fight the fight, right? I'll also be making a deck focused around him as a commander, so stay tuned for that video. Next up, we have Sanctum Weaver. I get to go ahead and add X mana, where X is the number of enchantments I control, so more mana for us. Next up, we have Okai, Splitter of Seconds. It's a legendary creature, Ogre Warlock. When it deals combat damage to a player, I get an additional upkeep after this phase ends. Oh, whenever it deals damage, I get that many additional upkeeps, and all of my shrines trigger on upkeep, which means I'm getting 6 additional triggers off of my shrines before my turn even ends, and that's just going to allow us to have an explosive turn if this manages to hit somebody. Next up, we have Sisei, which basically allows us to tap a Wooburg and search for a legendary permanent card. Next time, we have Grim Guardian. Whenever Grim Guardian or another enchantment enters, each opponent loses 1 life. Next up, we have Juka. Enchantment spells cost 1 less to cast, so just giving us more free enchantment spells to use for our mana. We have Eldion of Blossoms. Whenever this or another enchantment enters the battlefield under my control, draw a card, so more card draw. Weak Giant. Whenever this or another enchantment enters, creatures your opponent's control get -1/-1 until end of turn. So if I'm just spamming a bunch of enchantments on my turn, I get to pretty much kill everybody at the board, so that when I finish casting everything, I can swing everything for game. Next up, we have Old Gnawbone. Since we have a bunch of creatures attacking people, we can go ahead and use this to create a bunch of treasure token value. And lastly, we have Feybre Elder, giving us more mana based on the color among permanents I control, and just allowing us to do a bunch of free stuff at the table. So you guys have seen every single part of this deck so far, and the whole goal of us with building this deck is to create a bunch of shrines and activate the abilities of those shrines a bunch of times every turn. We're going to go ahead and shuffle up this deck, and then we're going to go ahead and mimic a game. We're going to start off on turn 1. If you guys want to play along with me, you guys can take out your decks and you can play along. I'm going to assume that I'm going to go first for the game. So, see if you can do anything against these shrines. Okay. So here's our opening hand. We got the Spirit Oasis, Northern Air Temple, a Forest, Mana Flare, Rites of Flourishing, a Forest, and an Island. So really, really good start. So we'll go ahead and start it off then. So we'll go ahead and draw for turn. Play a Plateau and pass. Draw for turn. Play a Forest and pass. Go ahead and do this. We'll go ahead and play a Island and tap 3 in order to play a Mana Flare and pass. Untap, upkeep, draw. Play a land. We'll go ahead and we'll pay for 8. We use 3 of that to play for Rites of Flourishing. So I can play an additional land. Play that, tap it. So that's 8 minus 3, it's 5, plus tapping this for another 2, so I have 7 mana available. I will go ahead and use 4 of that 7 to play Go-Shintai. And I'll create a shrine. So I'm left with 3 mana left since I used 4. And I'm going to go ahead and end that off with a Spirit Oasis. Go ahead and put another shrine on the battlefield. And I'll go ahead and pass. I'll untap, upkeep, draw 2 cards because of Rites of Flourishing. And then I'll also be able to draw because of this. Whenever it enters, draw a card for each shrine I control. Oh, I should have drawn on the last time. So we'll go ahead and replay that. So when I enter, I should have drawn 3 cards. So I'll draw this. And then now I can start my turn. So those were 3, and then I'll draw 2 because it's the beginning of my turn. There we go. Now I can begin. So we'll start off by playing a forest. We'll go ahead and tap out. So that's a total of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's 12 mana. So we'll go ahead and tap out for 12 mana in total. And I'll use one of that for the Northern Air Temple, drawing me a card. And then I get to create a shrine token, which draws me another card. I can play an additional land on my turn, so I'll play a Tropical Island. I'll tap that out. So I have now 13 mana to work with. I'll play Sanctum of Harvest, which will draw me a card. Then I'll play another Shrine, which will draw me another card. We have 10 more mana to work with, so we'll play Fever. And I will go ahead and draw a card because of that, which allows me to put a Shrine. I get to draw another card. I'm left with 7 mana left to do something with. We'll go ahead and play a 7 mana, huh? Yeah, we'll go ahead and end it off with the Party Tree, which will cost us a total of, this is a 3/4, so minus 3 to 7, that's 5. So that's 7 mana in total right there, so it just uses up all of our mana. Yeah. No cards are drawn, which is unfortunate, but I do get to tap this for 2 green mana. I don't think I can do anything with that, right? No, I just have a bunch of lands. So we have a total of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 cards. So I'll go ahead and discard a mountain, and I'll pass. Okay, I'll untap. Upkeep. At my upkeep, I get to create X mana of any color, where X is the number of shrines I control. So I control 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9 mana, and then nothing else, right? I get to draw 2 cards because of Rites of Flourishing. So we'll go ahead and use our ability here. So we have 9 mana right before I get to do anything. I'll go ahead and play 2 lands for turn. I'll use 5 of that 9 to play Coat of Arms. So now all my enchantments have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So all my enchantments have +8/+8 right now, since Coat of Arms is on the field. So now they're very, very strong. They're very, very strong shrines now. One, two, three, four, 5. We'll go ahead and use 4 more of that 9, so the last 4 of that 9, to play our Elden Blossoms. Whenever an enchantment or this one enters the battlefield, I get to draw a card. This is a creature, so Party Tree will trigger. I get to draw an additional card. So we'll go ahead and tap for 1, 2, 3, 4. That's 8 mana because of Mana Flare. I'm going to play our Nyxbloom Ancient. It is an enchantment creature, which means this will trigger, so I get to draw a card. And then because of Party Tree, I get to draw another card again. Now, every time I tap a permanent for mana, I get to create triple amount of mana. So now I have access to 4 times mana with my lands. And I'll tap the Party Tree. I have 1 mana floating, but I'll tap the Party Tree for 6 mana. Since it produces 2 green, it'll produce 3 times more, which is 6. So 6, 7. So we have Front of Mythos. It's an artifact. So I have 2 more mana available. I'll go ahead and tap another forest, or I need a red. So I'll go ahead and tap this out. It's going to be 4 times, so I have 3 mana floating. Holden of Infinite Rage. I get to draw a card because of Shrine into the battlefield, and because this is an enchantment, and because of Party Tree. And then I'll go ahead and create another Shrine, which is going to trigger the ability of my Spirit Oasis. I have to draw a card. And it is an enchantment. This is a non-token enchantment. Nope, it just is another enchantment. So that counts as me drawing a card for that ability. Let's see. We have Hebe. I do like Hay Bay. Tap this out for another green. We'll play Hay Bay. It's a creature, so I get to draw a card. And then when it enters, I get to reveal the top of my library until I reveal a shrine card. So it'll keep revealing until we reveal a shrine. And that comes onto the battlefield for free. Unfortunately, on missions it was there and we didn't get to have it, unfortunately, but it's okay. When this enters, it is a legendary enchantment, so I'll draw a card 3 times. 1 for Spirit Oasis, 1 for the Party Tree, and 1 for Elden of Blossom. So 1, 2, 3. And then I'll get to create a shrine token. That will trigger Eldiana Blossoms and Spirit Oasis, so we draw 2 cards. This is looking really, really good. Alright, let's see. Southern Air Temple, huh? I like that. Yeah, we'll go ahead and play our Southern Air Temple. Play that. We're going to draw, when this enters, we're going to put X+1/+1 counters on each creature I control. So we're going to put, we're X number of shrines, and we control a total of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So we're going to put 12 +1/+1 counters on all of our creatures, which is, that's an insane amount of stuff right there. That's +12/+12 for everything. And then whenever another shrine enters, I get to put +1/+1/+1 counter on all my creatures. And I believe, is Panharmonicon on the field? No, it's not. Okay. We'll go ahead and pay for another one. We'll play Go-Shintai Shared Purpose. Whenever it enters, I'm going to draw 3 cards. Then I'm going to play another shrine, draw 2 additional cards because of that. Put them in my hand. I guess we'll use up the rest of our mana to play Ondu. Right? So currently all these shrines are 1/1s, but they have an additional +12/+12, so they're 13/13s. With Coat of Arms, they have a total of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. So +14, 16. So +15, +12, that's +27, which means every shrine right now is a +28/+28. And not to mention all my creatures have haste. So we're going to go ahead and I think that's going to be game, guys. That should be game, I think. Right? I mean, they don't have trample, unfortunately, but they are very powerful. I don't imagine that they'll die very quickly. Yeah, I have no more mana, so I can't do anything else. So yeah, I mean, we'll swing with 1, 2, 3, 4. Right, we're gonna swing with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. We're going to swing with 14 shrines that are 28/28s. And we'll swing with our Nyx Bloom. That is a 5/5, but he gets a +12/+12. So he's a 17/17. Swing with our Hay Bay, which gets an additional +12/+12. So it's a 16/16. And then our Elden Blossom, which also has a +12/+12. So 14/14. So we have a bunch of creatures already out on the field. I believe one of these does damage to a player. No, not yet. No, right? Yeah. So we're just going to swing everything at everybody. And I mean, this should win you the game, right? I mean, we could go further. This is like what, turn 7, turn 6. So You guys can see that this scales up pretty quickly, and it's very, very powerful. Everything here works together seamlessly to give us the maximum amount of ability, and it's just really, really cool. That's pretty much going to cover our analysis on Go-Shintai and its ability as an amazing shrine deck. If you enjoyed this breakdown, be sure to go ahead and give the video a like. Make sure to hit the subscribe button and turn on post notifications. Let me know if you're on Team Go-Shintai or Team Heibei, and I'll see y'all in the next one. It's Dragon Master Rigo signing off. Have a great Magic day, guys.